O is for Overdose by Wire Pony. The small town of Cherrysburg lived for its orchard. The stable built under the town had been provided with a standard apple orchard and a separate stand of cherry trees. The stable ponies had built, fortified, and learned and expanded. When the second wall went up, they used the space inside it to transport saplings from the stable. The cherries had thrived under the diligent caretaking of the stable ponies. Unicorn ingenuity had allowed them to purify the soil and concentrate the gloomy sun. Earth pony love had bolstered the infant trees against storms of poor nutrition, and before long there were cherries. Fresh cherries, healthy and round, a rarity in our wasteland, precious and delicious. Word spread, and the town of Cherrysburg grew and prospered along with the trees. Trade followed, and bushels of cherries left the city in caravans and on ponies' backs. Outsiders trickled in slowly, and the population of the town grew. Bethel Harvest, her host up on a massive cherrywood desk, leaning back on the upholstered chair removed from her old office. "Behold, that's delicious, youngster. I must be in heaven," she crowed. "Lummy, did you ever imagine we could have gotten this far?" The pony sewed her dress way to hove indentedly, concentrating on the paperwork spread over her much smaller scrap metal desk. "I mean, who ever thought such a town could have sprouted from just a few cherry trees?" 2 dozen trees of 3 varieties isn't a few, Mother," Lummy grumbled. "And little doesn't fit either. The king tree was big enough to make your desk from just a few planks." Fine, don't respect the mayor. I'll just have you thrown in the sun ugly. Mother. Oh, be that way. I'll just go see my son on the wall. At least he'll have time for his broken down old mother." Bountiful Harvest made her lazy way out of the office. She paused to brush a few non-expected speck of dust off the side of the floor. "Love you, Mama," Lummy said quietly from inside the small building. Bountiful Harvest smiled. "I love you too, Cherry Pit." Cherrysburg hummed with activity. Ponies dragging carts full of cherries from the orchard, or hauling farming equipment too. A squad of ponies in dark red leather armor trotted by, singing a baldy song about red-curd flanks. Bountiful Harvest stepped smoothly through her town, stepping out of the way of a burly earth pony with a cart of early season vivid cherries. She snatched one out of the basket and munched on continuously, her legs carrying on a winding path out of the inner wall. "Halt, and identify yourself," a voice thundered. Bountiful Harvest jumped back, laughing. A rough-cut pony scampered through the gate, startled by the goings-on. With a clattering thump, a dark red earth pony leapt off the top of the wall. Lady and Bountiful, the pony whipped a short sword through the flimsy drill, ending it leveled at Bountiful. "Oh, my blessed strudel, whatever shall I do against such a fierce protector?" Bountiful said, laughing. The pony instantly seized his sword and leaned forward to take it in a firm embrace. "Hi, Mama Mia," he said. Bountiful Harvest leaned into his embrace. They took a step back, the clopper sung on his shoulder. "You trying to scare the life out of your poor old mother, you rapscallion?" she asked querulously. The pug snorted laughter, laying his hoof over his mother's. "As if anything could take you away from us." Bountiful Harvest hugged her son again, then motioned towards the gate. "I was heading towards the big wall. Walk with me." Of course. The 2 ponies made their way through the ring of orchards surrounding the inner town. The path was straight, but their route was not. The blossoms were just starting to bud on the trees nearest the path. The pair meandered amongst them, spending time with each tree they passed. The outer wall soon lay before them, and Bountiful Harvest cleaned the steep stairs inside of it. The land outside the wall was normally as busy as the city, but today it was nearly bare of ponies heading towards the gate. "What's this all about?" Bountiful Harvest asked as her son made it up the stairs behind her. "I'm not sure, Mo." The first person to reach Cherrysburg Outer Gate was familiar to the 2 ponies. A ghoul goat, piled high and strapped thick with parcels. His normal shuffling gait was missing, replaced with a frantic pounding of his old hose. "Buddy, what's the hurry?" Bountiful shouted down. The old ghoul leaped straight into the air, recovering himself with an awkward clutching of legs and belongings. "Bountiful Harvest, leg yourself," Buddy cried. Stumbling and clattering through the old open gate, the ghoul practically stumbled up the stairs. Bountiful Harvest and her son stepped back as the smell of herbs and medicines overlaid with long dead flesh made up the wall first. Buddy, you smell even worse than normal. Are you sweating? Can school sweat? What's wrong? Bountiful Harvest gasped, stretching out to pat the gasping ghoul through his almost palpable cloud of stench. Buddy flailed a cloven hoof at Bountiful, swatting away reassurance. Come, Bounty, more. Wait, that's not what I was saying, Buddy panted. And they're all looking ass. They've got a leader, and some freaky little mutant in their own size zone. Buddy flattened himself against the narrow surface of the wall. What do you mean, Buddy? We have been tried these walls before, and my bullets have always been the back. Bounty, this isn't a band. It's an army. Silence was her only reply, as they paid more attention to the ponies streaming away from her town. They looked scared, and many of them were avoiding the beaten path, heading into nearby hills. Boy, go grab some militia. Mother, on the word of an old ghoul. On the word of someone I've known since my first month out of the stable. Now get! Bounty said, shoving the stallion. Her son turned and bounded down the stairs. On your hooves, Buddy. Bounty helped the ghoul back upright, and Buddy leaned against the iron wall. I've been running for a day, literally. They cleaned me out. I don't even have a brick of ash on me, Bounty. Buddy moaned. Bounty rubbed his forehead with a friendly huff. At least you've got a blunt to share with an old friend, I hope. You know how I do, sister. The two remained on the wall, while the militia ponies ran around shouting and preparing. Buddy made his unsteady way down the stairs and headed for the stable, hiding in the deepest hole he could find. Bounty stared out at the wasteland as the day wore on. The final thud of the gate slammed closed startled her, as he stared at a smoldering butt laying on the ground outside the gate. Plates! The sun peeked below the clouds in the tiny space between gloom and nightfall, and still no raider army approached Cherrysburg. Bountiful Harvest returned to her office, following up on her son's distribution of the militia members and approving of them. The mayor made her way downstairs to her quarters and threw herself on the bed. Oof! Buddy! Bountiful Harvest was up before the sun, her step firm and confident as she tried to the inner gate. Her son was below, sleeping. The lieutenant in charge saluted gravely as he approached. Good morning, Miss Harvest, the pony said quietly. Bountiful nodded, clambering to the near wall's platform. Good morning, Tricky, she replied, turning to look over the archers. All quiet so far, ma'am. The sentries haven't reported. A sharp whistle cut the air, and both ponies whipped their heads around to look. At the outer gate, a sentry came running towards him on the path. Bountiful bounded down through the inner gate, pelting out to meet sentry halfway. Ma'am, they're here. Okay, youngster. Tell that Tricky what's going on. Then go rouse my son. I'm headed for the gate. Yes'm, the sentry said, then ran off. Bountiful Harvest trotted to the outer gate, her steps heavy on the packed earth. Mounting the stairs to the platform inside the peak of the wall, Bountiful took a deep breath and peered out at a mass of ponies that justified Buddy's descriptor of army. Loose ranks of ponies stretched out before her, spread widely deeply around her town's main gate. The path was open, and the only straight lines in the horde were around the main drag into Cherrysburg. Bountiful Harvest gasped as the sun peeked up on the horizon, gradually leaned a meager light into the horde facing her. The ponies were raiders, fit to type and festooned with spikes and horrible weapons. Some of them were eye-catching even in the mass. One there were pony skulls as shoulder pads, one with pony-hide armor made flapping and cutie marks. There was an earth pony with one eye, picking its teeth with a unicorn horn. There was an unmistakable shape of a pony corpse, turning on a spit hung over a crackling fire. And all quiet. Bountiful scanned the mass, picking out atrocity after atrocity. Her gaze kept returning to the carefully cleared lane pointing right down the middle of the gate of Cherrysburg. The sun rose above the eternal cloud cover, and the normal gloom of the wasteland hid the majority of the horrible herd from Bountiful's sight. As he heaved aside and slumped against the inside of the wall, Prosy Host heralded her son as he dragged him the last few steps of the platform. We're in it now, son. Look at him. Buddy was right. That's an army, she choked out, gesturing to the filled space in front of her town. Her son's wasteland eyes pierced the gloom better than hers, and he gulped nervously as the array of raiders was revealed. Steadying himself from his initial rush of fear, the stallion began making an assessment of the horde. Mother, that's a lot of ponies, he said quietly, but no enough to take Sherrisburg. Bountiful blinked at his statement, staring at him incredulously. You mean to say that your militia can defeat that nasty horde of nasty out there? My soldiers, he replied, putting in a word's worth of quiet and emphasis on the term, can defeat that mess of race scum. Numbers weren't the only important thing, Mama. He continued, his voice stronger and more confident as he went on. We've got position, walls, and security. They can't starve us out. We've got enough food and water from the stable to keep us. Barely, Bountiful interrupted. Her son grinned fiercely out. Barely, but it is enough, he insisted. They can't starve us out. They can't take that gate down. We built it strong, Mother. Strong for just this reason. He paused to take a deep breath, then continued. We got strong leadership. There's no way that horde is disciplined enough to follow a leader. They'll turn to sand when it comes down to it. Bountiful smiled thinly at her son, opening her mouth to comment. She was interrupted by a surge of noise from the wasteland. The rare ponies howled, stomped, and bashed their weapons against each other. The noise swelled and grew. They cut off into silence as a brace of lights crashed on. The lights were on a cart, sizable spark battery-powered units that brazenly illuminated the massive throne on the cart, and the twisted carriage of a pony sprawled across the seat. Bountiful and her son stared as the cart rolled down the empty path, drawn by a truly massive earth pony. His bulging muscles slammed each hoof on the ground like an attack, sending a puff of dust into the morning air. Instead of a conventional yoke of freighter saddle, the cart was drawn behind him on a simple rope, clenched in his teeth. The cart pulled to a halt, just outside the easy gun range of Terrysburg. The wizard pony on the throne lurched to his hooves, glared at a wall, and pulled out a megaphone in the cart on a sickly yellow magic. Citizens of Shipburg, open your gates and your legs! Surrender yourselves and your possessions to your new rulers! Bountiful Harvest held a hoof to her face, hiding a giggle. Her son saw a wide-eyed look. Mother! I know, so cliched. Bountiful's son sighed before taking off a megaphone on the hoof. Terrysburg will never submit to the likes of you, he shouted. The horn responded with a gurgle, laugh, and a renewed howling. The cart-riding pony waved a hoof, and howling cut off immediately. That's fine. Send out your finest warrior. If he can defeat my champion, we'll just move on. If my boy wins, we'll proceed to fuck your gate in half, and then take what we want. Sound like a deal? Bountiful held off on a hoof on her son's raised foreleg, gently pushing the megaphone down. The two shared a doubtful look. Boy, do you think you can whip that pony? I'm sure of it. Want a piece of red scum? No problem. You be careful there, son. Do your mama proud out there. Do. While we pause in a bit of action, I would like to state, in case you're wondering how I did the megaphone voice back there, I simply took my fist, made a little circle, cut my hand over my fist, and proceeded to talk like this. Amuse your friends. Babel's son nodded once, turned to a whistle into Cherrysburg. One of the guards ran to the outer wall. Sir! I'm going to town to do a champion. Have my lieutenant ready to troops. They may attack even after I win. Sir! The pony ran back into town. Bountiful's son returned to the megaphone to his hook. Sharing a quick embrace with his mother, he took a deep breath and leapt over the wall. He landed right in front of the gate with a thud, brushing the dust off his armor and flexing. All right, you ravenous freak, let's do this, he shouted. A little ripple of laughter bounced around the horn. You ain't seen ravenous yet. Go kill the fucker, sonny. The twisted unicorn stabbed a brace of cannons into the scar over key mark of the massive earth pony. It dropped the rope and roared fury. Colossal off-yellow stallion reared, screaming as he slammed his forehoofs into the earth. The massive muscles bulged even further as the can steamed into the system. Bountiful's son held his position as the enraged monster pounded towards him. He reached past his sword and pulled out his pistol. 11 pulls of the trigger dumped 11 rounds into the oncoming wall fast, and slowed it not at all. The Terrysburg soldier threw his empty pistol at his opponent and drew his sword. The short Melissa blade gleamed from the light in the cart, and he bravely attempted to parry the first hoof strike of his yellow foe. The giant yellow pony swatted his blade, and out of his grasp, sending its several teeth flying towards the wasteland. Beth of Harvest gasped, put a hoof to her chest. The Colossus knocked a splash of blood out with his back hoof and laughed. Lunging forward, he clutched Bountiful Sun to his chest and squeezed. The pony roared with laughter as he crushed Cherryberg's son to his chest, a bladder of blood marring his filthy coat. Bountiful Sun flailed weakly, his strikes smearing his own blood to no effect. The Raider champion changed his grip, twisted powerfully. This horrible cracking crunch drew a shriek from Bountiful Harvest as he clung to the wall as her son's limp body fell to the ground. "Ha ha ha! I'm coming for you next. You open the gate, I'll kill you before I fuck you!" the giant yelled. Bountiful staggered sideways, nearly falling off the wall. A stinking undead limp propped her up as Buddy mounted the stairs. "That's not good," Buddy said quietly. "That's not good, old man." The ghoul clung to the wall, and suddenly sobbing Bountiful Harvest as everything shook. The massive raider pony slamming into the gate. The normal raiders pulled the cart closer under the exhortations of the spindly unicorn. As the cart closed its reins, the unicorn floated out another bundle of chems and slammed into the huge pony's flank. Another roar answered this action, followed by an enraged slamming against the gate. Buddy narrowed his rheumy old eyes at this. The world had started shouting to the crowd of Cherrysburg militia, milling about the space between walls. "Unicorn! Unicorn! I need a damn hornhead right fucking now!" A militia unicorn was shoved forwards, clambering up to the stairs of the platform. Bountiful Harvest slumped to the railing to the platform, and Buddy dug frankly into his salad bags. Syringes and pill balls and baggies of drugs flew. The goat came up with a thick bag of white powder in his mouth. He spat it out, wobbling as the wall shook under the fresh assault. "Okay, Pokey Pierce, do exactly what I say, or we're fucked. Got it?" "Yes, sir." "Good boy. Now take that mag of your magic." Unicorn complied, eyes wide and stance shaky. But he dived back into his bag, pulling out packets of empty syringes, the plastic caps still in the needle tips. Buddy grinned triumphantly and opened the packets with swift hoofwork. Okay. It's okay. Take these, and when I'm finished with each one, mix a whole bunch of that coke into it, and then put the plunger in. Unicorn nodded, taking the syringe in his magic field. Buddy snatched one back and bent, filling it from a water bottle. As he held the filled up syringe, the unicorn snatched it gently away, replacing it with an empty. 1, 2, 3, 4 syringes, then 5, 6, 7, 8, before they were all filled. Buddy cursed as one fell out of the unicorn's magic field, spiraling onto the platform to the orchard. 7 will about to be enough. Okay, Hornhead, take those syringes and stab him to Ugly's neck. All of them. Give him the full dose. The unicorn nodded shakily, pale and swaying under the cherry red armor. Buddy snatched a bag of cocaine out of the unicorn's magic field. Throwing a hoof inside, he wiped a smear of white under the unicorn's nose and stuffed the cloth bag into his endless pockets. "They'll steady you, laddie. Now, or he takes the gate down. Make him a porcupine." The coke hit the unicorn's system. Just a tiny bump. His shakes fading, and he practically leapt forward to the edge of the wall. The 7 syringes whirled out of his way as he sneezed violently, then hung before him for a split second before leaping into the colossal attacker. And a flash of magic and a thump of impact, 7 massive hits of cocaine slammed into the already stimulated system of the gigantic earth pony. His massive heart, greasy with fat and swelled from abuse, exploded. With a roar that sent Buddy the 2 Cherrysburg ponies tumbling off the wall, the Colossus fell. His corpse shook the earth like a quake, and the Cherrysburg militia finally took to the wall. Disciplined bursts of gunfire and controlled barks of magical energy weapons filled the air with a warlike noise. Beneath it all, Buddy hobbled with the sobbing, Bountiful Harvest and the militia unicorn. The battle raged on through the day, the energized and ably led militia blunting the raiders' attacks until the gunfire tapered off as the sun peaked readily under the clouds. The battle for Cherrysburg was over. They had won. In the aftermath, the militia unicorn and the rotting goat ghoul accompanied Bountiful Harvest into the clear area in front of the gate. Her son's body laid untouched behind the mound of his killer's corpse. The 2 ponies in the goat ghoul brought the body in town, and laid it on a bier with the other fallen. After the ceremonies of funeral pyre for the other dead, they returned to the gate for a more grisly duty of handling the raiders' bodies. They paused at the carcass of the huge earth pony. He laid on his side, clenching faintly at his chest. His key mark was blurred and more unreadable under dozens of old ejected sights. The flesh infected and ruined. The 3 ponies stood staring at the dead hulk for long minutes. Overhead, the clouds crumbled and began to drizzle a cold rain. "But," Beth of Harvest said, first crackled and warned for crying, "how did you kill him? What killed him?" Buddy paused for a long moment, staring at the small stands of ranges sticking out of the corpse. "Overdose." "Remember, kids, drugs are bad, Key."
"Well, I would say that the big threat was immense and very good, but his heart just wasn't in it."